Now that I've got a beer in hand, maybe we'll kick off with my presentation. Well, good evening all. My name's Alex, and today I'm going to be talking about a recent project of mine called Payphone Tag. The last GeoRabble talk I gave down in Sydney, I finished with and go make something awesome. And I was trying to encourage people to build things because it's a bit easier. It's a bit easier these days to build things than it used to be. So this is something I built, and it's something I'd like to share with everyone here. So if I just quickly do this, 6, I'll go here, and I'll quick refresh. There should be some stats that will run whilst the presentation's going. So there's some stats here, I'll talk about that later. Okay, so this was a news article yesterday. Payphone Tag is Australia's new national sport. Were you all aware that this was the case? Maybe it's not quite the case, maybe it's slightly overblown, but I thought it was a funny headline from hackaday.com. So, what is Payphone Tag? This here is Payphone Tag. Pretty simple. It's a website, payphonetag.com. You go find a payphone. Now they still exist in Australia. They are free. You don't have to pay any money unless you're calling overseas. And there are 14,000 still in Australia. Show on the map. The idea is that you go up, you dial a certain number, and then you enter your special PIN. And after that, that payphone becomes yours. You've tagged it. And that's it. That's the whole game. Okay? So that was the game. I came up with it because I bought a phone number for 35 cents. My friend said that you can buy phone numbers for 35 cents a month, and I was like, that's pretty cool. What can you do with it? And this is what I came up with. So this game, Payphone Tag, and people have been playing it. So if I go along, for example, this is Newcastle from a couple of hours ago. Every single one of these emojis is a payphone that someone's captured. So obviously the clocks are doing really well in the centre of Newcastle, and you've got some elephants over here and some purses down here. And these are all people going out all the time and dialing in to the payphone number and entering their PIN and actually capturing it. If I go here, for example, this person went from the top end of New South Wales all the way across the border to a little bit of South Australia and all the way down towards Melbourne. I was like, that's crazy. Like, what are these people doing, going all over the States just to play this game? Here's someone over here capturing most of Newcastle all the way down to the northern beaches. They said they were driving around all hours of the night playing this game for whatever reason. I don't know why they were, but they're obviously having fun. And here's something in the centre of Sydney, for example. Here's some otters and seals that are having fun capturing most of it. There's even some people going to the far extremities of Australia. You've got the top end of Arnhem Land and the tippy top of an island in Queensland. So all this is how Payphone Tag works. And I just thought I'd share this game, which involves maps, and share it with some people that also like maps, because I like maps. If we go here, this is how it works. This is me at a recent wedding playing the game. Of course, the best thing was that the church was right in front of the payphone, so perfect opportunity. But what happens is you create what's called an agent on the website. Free, you just click the button, you get an agent, and then you call a Telstra payphone. From there, it goes to my telephony provider, Crazy 35 cents a month, pretty good. And that then goes to my server here. So this is where the whole system runs. It's using a few different technologies. One's called Asterix, which is a thing that manages the telephony. So if you've ever called Centrelink or some company and says, press 1 to do this, press 2 to do that, blah, 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 it puts you in a hold queue. That's a system similar to Asterix. So I've got one of those. The next one is called SQLite, which is a database system. It's really cool because it's just a single file. All your data lives in a little file. And if you've ever used geo packages, I don't know if anyone's used a geo package, GeoPackage is a geospatial version of SQL, where you can store data easily in a file without having a complex database system behind it. And then the programming language it's used is called Go, which is something fun I was learning to use. So you make the call, you enter your PIN, it checks to see whether you exist in the database, it then tells you whether you do or not, and if you do, it says, success, you've logged in. And then it captures the phone and it appears on the map. And I'm using what's called MapLibra. MapLibra is a open source mapping technology. People used to use something called Leaflet, it was pretty popular. MapLibra is an alternative to what's called Mapbox, which you might have heard of. And that's how we're doing the map piece. And then eventually you get a notification, something like you stole this payphone from someone else. And that adds to the aspects of the game and trying to create some rivalries and things like that. So that's how the technology works. How did people start playing Payphone Tag? I only just joined TikTok recently to try and promote the game. And then all of a sudden, one of the silly videos I made got 240,000 views. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. I've had TikTok for a week. How does this algorithm work? Lots of people found out about it by TikTok. So if you're trying to promote something, maybe try TikTok. It might work for you because it sure increased the interest in Payphone Tag. Telstra themselves randomly put out 2 days ago a Instagram video about them playing Payphone Tag, which I thought was pretty cool. I wasn't aware, they just did it, they've been playing. I've been a bit worried whether they'd be concerned about the usage of the game and whether they'd like it or not, but no complaints too much so far. Here's some statistics. Over time, for the last month, we started at about 500 calls a day, so 500 times someone's called in and played the game. And at these days, we're about 2,500 phone calls a day. So 2,500 times someone's gone to a payphone and entered their PIN and played the game. And here's our current stats. We've just hit 40,000 total captures, which is covered 74% of all payphones in Australia, which was not something at all I ever expected would be the case from a silly game that I made at home for fun. So yeah, hopefully one day we'll get to 100%. And people have spent 150 hours on the phone so far. I then created what's called a Discord server, and that was a way to really interact with the community, which I thought was great. There's 300 people that are part of that, and it's a way for people to just talk to each other. You know, they can be all over Australia. There's people all over Australia that are playing. At that point in time, there were 65 people online, and they started creating interesting things like a branded badge, and this is the old Telecom logo, or some weird art here about payphones, or some pixel art about payphones, or some physical cards that people printed out and started shoving into payphones with QR codes. So all that stuff from a Mac, which I just thought was really interesting. So that's Payphone Tag. Hope you get playing. And if I just get back to this. Six. Whilst I've been talking, there's been 25 payphones captured, or 25 captures that have occurred, which covers 21 payphones, and we've got one new person playing. So what I suggest is go out, make something cool, whatever you'd like, be nerdy, do something you're interested in, and see if other people start playing it, because that's what happened here. Yeah, thank you.
When did you start?
I first 2 months ago, and then that was just me and my friends, and then a month ago exactly is when I posted that TikTok video. So yeah, last month it's been people starting to play. Yeah, so it's been about a month. Thank you.